Tanks but no tanks. There's actually a fucking game called Tanks but no tanks. This nomination for goofiest game title of all time was released for the Atari 2600 in 1982. You guide a tank around a maze with the intention of shooting down 20 other tanks to move on to the next screen. 5 enemy tanks show up on the screen at one time, and the counter on the bottom displays how many more you need to kill. You get 5 lives to start with, and after getting 2,500 points, you'll get an extra life. You get 100 points for each tank you shoot down, and get this, you get 200 points for pulling a kamikaze mission and sacrificing yourself by plowing right into the enemy. What a strange-ass way to pick up points. Now, you're not just mindlessly shooting down tanks, you also have to protect your outpost, which is this blocky triangular-shaped thing on the bottom. If any opposing tank makes contact with it, you don't just lose a life, but the whole game is over. So I guess this is the one spot where a sacrifice could be acceptable. Since the whole game ends when the outpost is destroyed, it's extremely important that you protect it. So don't go wandering too far to the top portion of the screen without keeping your eye down below. There are a total of 3 screens that cycle around. The first one is the maze that I mentioned earlier, the second one has a limited amount of bunkers in the way, and the third one is wide open, which makes it tougher to protect the outpost because the tanks get to it a lot quicker, but the game is still pretty slow-paced overall. The controls are decent enough, but you can't shoot rapidly. Only one missile can be fired at a time, which can potentially leave you helpless due to the slow speed of the missiles. This can especially suck if you're in the wide open field and your missile is slowly drifting all the way across the screen and the tanks rape you or your outpost. Graphically, it's decent. The tanks look like tanks, although the enemy tanks flicker quite a bit. The cool thing about this game is the dynamics and the gameplay. The maze shooter combination is a lot like Wizard of War, the protection of the outpost is a lot like Missile Command, and the wide open combat is a lot like, well, combat. Unfortunately, due to its flaws, Tanks But No Tanks isn't quite as good as any of these games, but it's still pretty decent, and definitely a good concept, just needed a little bit more in the execution department.